What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another just kind of mock draft reaction video here on the SROS channel. I feel like we've been talking a ton about like the current NBA landscape, the trade deadline, and something that could matter for the trade deadline, the college landscape. So we are going to react to Bleacher Report's new full 2-round mock draft. Bleacher Report drops way too many updated mock drafts. Like, let's just chill a little bit because the draft order changes every single day. This came out on January 6th. You guys are probably going to see this on January 10th. And I'm sure the order might look a little bit different. I'm not sure if they do a full-on Tankathon sim. It doesn't mention that they do. So yeah, we have the Indiana Pacers, who actually did finally win a game for the first time since December 8th. They won on January 8th, and they ended up beating the Charlotte Hornets in a, oh my god, that final 4 minutes was absolutely on crack. As we are going to see the Pacers take Darren Peterson, #1 overall out of Kansas. He mentions his pro comp is Anthony Edwards. So I mean, we can look at this at two ends, right? Who do I think is actually the best fit for the Indiana Pacers? I actually agree. I do think it's Darren Peterson for his mobility, his fluid movement, his court vision, his ability to either put the ball on the ground, operate at a pick and roll, pass, dribble, shoot. I've mentioned it ad nauseum. That's how Rick Carl likes this team to be. Fast, quick, high-paced, high-intensity. And Boozer and I less extent Debanza are more methodical. They like to get to their spots. They like to have these plays and these sets ran for them in the half court. And I think Peterson can also operate better on the fly. I think Boozer probably the worst out of the three on the fly. Debanza #2, Peterson 1. So I would probably take Peterson. The thing now we're looking at the other lens, like the injury concerns with Darren Peterson. He's had these hamstrings linger this college season, and now there's like cramping with him. I think he's going to be fine. Like, he's an 18-year-old kid. We're drafting him so he could peak in his late 20s in a decade from now in Indiana. So I am not worried about that whatsoever. If you remember, it wasn't too long ago, people were docking Paolo a little bit in college for the cramping and the cardio, and Paolo has his other issues at the NBA level right now, but that has not been a cause of concern whatsoever. So I do think Darren Peterson would be the right pick to the Indiana Pacers at #1, and I would make that selection as well. And just Peterson, Halbert in that backcourt, Nembhard coming off the bench. You have Nesmith, you have Siakam. That's a fun team. It's a fun core going forward. Obi Toppin, obviously. Next up, we have Atlanta going Cameron Boozer, not AJ Debanza. So I do wonder for Atlanta, now that they trade away Trae Young. So this actually happened the day before the Trae Young trade. So maybe that would change a little bit if you end up going with AJ Debanza, who, I don't know. AJ Debanza and Jalen Johnson are definitely an interesting fit together. I don't think you should ever care about need or I guess like who fits with who on the court when you're drafting this high. But I would, hey, like for my two top guys that were invested in to coexist long term. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had all these question marks. Can they coexist long term? And they were just fine. But do I like Boozer with Atlanta? I don't know if I do. I think I would like Debanza a little bit more, crazy enough, because I think I like Jalen Johnson best suited at the 4, where he's not guarding guys on the perimeter, because sometimes it's a little conish, like he's just not a good defender out there and kind of doesn't look as invested defensively, where I think I would prefer Debanza out there at the 3, and then you'd have Boozer at the 4. Now we just have way too many wings in Atlanta, because you have Daniels is more of a guard, but then you have Nah as well, and you have Zachary Reese-Shea, who was their #1 overall pick 2 years ago. But now, so I'm trying to think about Boozer. Does that make any sense? Because you're probably going to have Boozer at the 4. I don't think he's going to be a good enough rim protector at the 5. Wow, this is a very tricky spot for Atlanta, because they're very wing heavy. And Boozer, maybe I would go Boozer. I mean, they're all so close to me. Boozer just wins. He just produces. I don't want people to think that he's just Marvin Bagley 2.0, because this guy has the track record. He's got the work ethic. He's got the intangibles where he's going to be a good player at the NBA level. Maybe he's not going to be an MVP one day, but he's going to be a really good big. So he goes to Atlanta #2 via the Pelicans here. Funny, the Pelicans owned this pick, obviously. They owned the Pacers pick, but it was top 3 protected before they sent it back to Indiana before game 6. And then Sacramento gets AJ Debanza at #3. I like that for them. I mean, Sacramento would take Debanza, they would take Boozer, they would take Peterson. This is a team where they would take any of the 3 and they would make sense for them, because the only good wing that they have long term is Keegan Murray, and Nick Clifford to a way lesser extent. They don't have really a franchise guard in that backcourt whatsoever in 3 years. Ellis is gonna be gone. Levine, Schroeder, Monk, probably Devin Carter. All these guys are gonna be gone, and they don't really have a good power forward. Like Keegan Murray is their only good wing long term. Like I like Maxime Reynaud is a depth big. I like Dylan Cardwell as like a depth big. So yeah, we're gonna have Sacramento go Agent Abanza here. They get that number 1 scoring option. That is exactly what they need. It really is. I like that a ton for them, man. I really do. So number 4 here, we have the Washington Wizards selecting Caleb Wilson. I think right now it is a 4-person draft. I think if you need like a point guard specifically, so maybe a point guard needing team, like maybe Dallas is picking at 4. I mean, Washington pre-Trae Young trade. Maybe Sacramento was picking at 4. You can really fall in love with like Phylon, Mikal Brown, or Darius DeCuff, or Christian Anderson, or one of those guys as we get closer to the draft in June. I mean, Darius DeCuff has been playing out of his freaking mind as of late at Arkansas. But you get Caleb Wilson, high motor, high intensity. Now that you traded for Trae Young, this makes all the sense in the world. Having a defensive, just like Energizer Bunny Rabbit next to you with Alex Sarr in that front court. He's going to play super physical. He's going to set solid screens. He could run the floor in transition. He's going to have highlight dunks after highlight dunks at the NBA level. Some highlight miss dunks for sure. And that's who I would take at number 4. If that's how the top 3 shapes out, I would be very shocked if it didn't. And I should have mentioned Kingston Flemings as well. I apologize. So Kingston Flemings is actually the first point guard off the board to the Nets here at number 5. So they took 3 point guards last year. Here's another one. I don't know if I would... Kingston Flemings is good enough to go 5, man. This guy, he hit some big-time shots against Texas Tech on Tuesday? On Wednesday. No. Was that Tuesday? Yeah, that was Tuesday. He had some big-time shots, and they don't even look good either. Sometimes it's just like they go in, and I don't know how that's going to play at the NBA level, but his defensive intensity playing at Houston with Kelvin Sampson is going to do wonders as well at the NBA level. I do think like he's a different type of point guard than the other 3 that they drafted last year as well. He's definitely more score first, more, I think, downhill attacking and physical around the rim than Saraf, Traore, and Yegor. So the Nets go Flemings at 5. I don't know, like, would I like Koa Pete a little bit more here? Do you still buy in Tonde Yesufu? I don't know if you can at the moment. Hans Steinbeck feels a little high at 5. Maybe Jaden Quainance if you really want that defensive anchor. But yeah, I'd go best player available. And if you think that's Flemings, you go Flemings. So number 6, we do have that defensive anchor, Jaden Quainance going to Charlotte. Love this for them. This is the big they need, I think, with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Con Knipple. Because if you look at some of the on-off data, those 3 have a pretty solid, like it's like a 4.7 net rating with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Con Knipple. You add in Moussa Diabate, who's like by far, like, in a way, like they're most athletic big, and you bring in Jaden Quaidance, who's probably not as like bouncy as Diabate, but is a way better defender, more like stout, better hands, better recognition of opposing offenses out there, I would say, even at 18 years old. Like he was unreal at Arizona State last year, pre-ACL tear. Like this Charlotte team can really get off and going, and Diabate's great. I like him. Long term, I would like for him to be your backup if you continue to develop him. So 6, Charlotte gets Jaden Quainance. I mean, I love this fit for them. It benefits Charlotte that there's a lot of point guards that can go in the top 10, or a lot of guards, right? Peterson, Flemings, Phylon, Brown, Acuff, Anderson, maybe Bennett Sturts, who knows? Where Charlotte's like, you know what? We got LaMelo. We got Con Knipple as our secondary playmaker. We want the bigs, and that's where it could benefit them a little bit. I would love Caleb Wilson in Charlotte as well. Koa Pete goes 7 to Utah. Koa Pete's a little bit of a weirder prospect just because he's not really been much of a shooter this year at Arizona, but he's been arguably the best player on the best team in the country. I think they're 15-0. By the time I'm recording this, they may have lost the game. But you do wonder where his fit is at the NBA level, because will you allow Koa Pete to take 4 to 5 mid-range pull-ups a game on a night-to-night basis? I'm not sure if you're willing to do that. How is he going to be out of the short roll? How is his court vision going to be with just kind of, I don't know, teams can play off him a little bit on the perimeter as well. So can he be an offensive hub out of the post? How physical is he going to be at the NBA level? He goes 7 here to Utah, which, I don't know, like Utah, I guess Keontae is their franchise point guard, right? I mean, Keontae could probably be in the backcourt with like Collier and Walter Clayton at times going forward, but I do feel like, so you throw him in Utah with like Lowry at the 3, Kessler at the 5, maybe Koa Pete at the 4, maybe you have Koa Pete like off the bench with Ace Bailey at times. I mean, I think Utah, It's just like, yeah, we're never going to get Peterson, DeBanza, or Boozer in Utah at this rate. They're too good. So Oklahoma City gets Braylon Mullins, who had a really good game against Providence as of late. Maybe his best game all year, and like an insane UConn comeback win. I'm sorry, Friars, that you guys play that game if there's any Friar fans watching this. But yeah, Braylon Mullins got off to a later start than everybody else because he did have a lower body injury, a leg injury going into the season. So he debuts, I think, like end of November. I think it was around Thanksgiving, actually. But you really trust the three-point shot. You trust the athleticism. He's a great cutter, really good slasher, just smart, plays off of 2 feet as well. Kind of, yeah, I guess like Aaron Nesmith's a good comp. I was going to say kind of like those movement shooters that you value as well. Like, can he be, not like Duncan Robinson, but somebody that can move so well without the ball in his hands where it's going to make you millions of dollars at the NBA level and have a 15-year career? I think so. And I think going and playing at UConn with like a very good leader there in Alex Karaban as well can do wonders for Braylon Mullins' development moving forward. I mean, last year for UConn, who was like UConn's top guy in the draft last year? I'm trying to even think. I guess it was McNeely. It was McNeely. That was their only first round pick. I guess so. Am I missing somebody? Because 2024 had Klingon and Castle. Yeah, because Karaban didn't go in the draft last year. Dallas here at number 8, and watch there just be a UConn guy, and I'm blanking. But Dallas at 8 takes Mikal Brown. Now, Mikal Brown has dealt with injuries as of late. Mikal Brown has also not really been that efficient at the rim, which I think teams tend to worry a little bit if you're a smaller guard, like a Rob Dillingham of the world. And Mikal Brown is not a Rob Dillingham size-wise. He's definitely a little bit bigger. And Louisville kind of likes to play like Joe Mazzulla type offense in college, where it's just 3-3-3 with like Conwell, Woolley, McNeely there as well. So yeah, Mikal Brown's obviously taking a lot of threes this year. He's shooting 26% on jump shots. He's just not hitting them at the moment, but he was like the top point guard prospect coming in. He maybe outplayed AJ DeBanza at the U19s this past summer at or for the FIBA World Cup or the U18s. I always forget. I think it was the U19s. But either way, Mikal Brown Jr. is going to have the pedigree to be a top 10 pick. We'll see how it looks in ACC play if he can get healthy. Unfortunately, he did miss that game against Duke, but we know Dallas needs a point guard, and that could be Mikal Brown Jr. going forward. Next up at 10, we have LeBaron Philon, who's maybe been the most productive draft point guard this year out of Alabama. He's looking like an absolute genius because last year he was like teetering with going in the draft. He went to the combine. I believe he went to the combine, and like he withdrew. Todd Pettiford withdrew, and Philon probably would have been like a late first, early second last year. There's a chance he could go like as high as 5 in this draft. He has been not good this year for the Crimson Tide. Super shifty, can get to the rim with ease, has really good court vision out of the pick and roll. He's a good shooter as well. And the ball handle, I think, is really rounding into form. They also mentioned here that he's converting 71% around the rim. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's like Dylan Harper-esque from last year at Rutgers, where that was like by far and away Dylan Harper's best trait was his rim finishing, because it literally was like 70% true shooting or something. Or like 70, yeah, I think, or something like that. And that is like equivalent to like what big men get around the rim. So 11, whoa, Keaton Wagler. This feels high, but it doesn't. So Wagler ahead of Darius Cuff and Sturts and Anderson. Wagler has definitely been the standout freshman at Illinois this year. He compares him to Jamal Murray. I mean, the shot making looks good. He wasn't somebody that I don't think was on any draft radars going into the year, but he's very shifty with the ball in his hands, and I really like him in transition as well. And I'm starting to like him a little bit more than I like Yakuchonis at Illinois last year, in a way, because I think I trust Wagler's shot a little bit more, and I trust his size, because if he could be like a full-on point guard, his size and ball handling is going to make him so valuable. Reminds me a little bit of like Austin Reeves in a way. I would say maybe a little bit more than Jamal Murray, because he's like bigger than Jamal Murray at times as well. He's, yeah, probably got to get a little bit stronger, I would say, but I think the handle could be NBA ready, and it's going to be some really good competition for him throughout Big Ten play. So we have Darius Cuff. So how many guards have we talked about already? This guard class is absolutely loaded. So the Portland Trailblazers at number 12 take Darius Cuff, and I don't think it's crazy for Portland to look at a point guard. I actually kind of like the Stephon Marbury comp, where Portland has Dame coming off an Achilles tear and is old. Drew Holiday, old, already dealing with a calf injury this year. Scoot, what's going on with Scoot? Who really knows? And he's got the hamstring injury. Denny Avdia has actually been a pretty good point guard for them, like a de facto point guard with all their injuries. So they get Darius Cuff out of Arkansas, who, like I said, has just been knocking down every shot left and right for the Razorbacks as of late, and is maybe the best guard prospect under Calipari since like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back in 2018. Like, there's a chance he's better than Tyler Hero in 2019, I will say, and probably anybody 2020 on. Like, you had Quickly, you had Maxey there in 2020, but a Cuff, man, he looks really good. Darius Cuff looks really good with the court vision. And if the shot is going to fall, which I always thought was a big swing skill for him, but he was one of the best scorers like last year in the EYBL Scholastic League. 13, Thomas Houck to the Spurs. Okay, Thomas Houck, lottery hype. You could see lack of wings in this draft. Yeah, not that many wings. Like you have AJ at the top. We've talked about Koa Pete, but he kind of plays like a big. Like we haven't really talked about any other true wings in a way. Yeah, that's why, like Braylon Mullins, but he's kind of like a guard, honestly. Like Koa Pete, like he's a non-shooting wing. Caleb Wilson, you can maybe count as a wing, but he also kind of plays like a big, and I don't trust Caleb Wilson's shot. Wings that could shoot might be coming at a premium in this draft. Like Thomas Houck, you could say he's a wing as well. He's 6'9". He kind of plays like a big as well, but he also can shoot for sure. He's very smart without the ball in his hands as well. He knows when to cut, when to slash. Like, I loved watching him last year with Walter Clayton initiating this offense. I don't love it as much watching Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland initiate the offense. Man, Boogie Fland, fall from grace, man. Yeah, at least he got paid in NIL from Florida, probably a decent amount. But Thomas Houck, veteran coming over in college, like 22 years old, you could see 6'9", 215. Jeff Green, I could see that in a way. I don't know if he's going to have as like much athleticism and finishing ability at the rim. But, you know, actually, I can see the finishing at the rim at the NBA level. So, Houck to San Antonio, they get kind of a big that could be out there with Wemby that could space the floor in a way going forward. 14, Hans Steinbeck going to the Chicago Bulls. What is Hans? Is he going to be a center? Is he going to be a power forward in a way? Will he ever be able to shoot the ball? He did struggle a little bit. Was it against Michigan recently? No. I forget who they played. He ended up getting like a decent amount of points in the game, but it was tough to come by for sure. But he played for Germany with Christian Andersen last year in the U19s. I guess it has to be the U19s he played in. And he's kind of traditional big in a way. He likes to go back to the basket. He likes to kind of use his patience, his footwork around the rim. And I'm all for Chicago getting more bigs. If you think he can actually coexist with Giddey and Bontas at his highest level, that's a pick there you 100% make for Chicago. It's kind of crazy. Like, Chris Sanak probably hasn't played like a lottery pick, but if you would have told me like Steinbeck over Sanak preseason, I would have been shocked about that take. So we have Nate Ament going here to Golden State. So Nate Ament was always a big wild card in this draft. If Nate Ament could be a good shooter in college, like I just talked about the lack of wing shooting in this class, he will have some value. Zachary Risache is a solid comp in terms of frame and kind of honestly play style, where Ament doesn't really dunk the ball. He's kind of like, he does get to the free throw line a decent amount this year, but his shooting has not been good. It says he's shooting 28% on threes. He struggled against good competition this year. Like, his best games have come against like the worst non-conference games they played in, where the competition is not even like 150, top 150, top 200 in KenPom. He's a big wild card, and right now Golden State, maybe they take the chance on the big wild card, something they haven't really done since Kuminga. I think Tony Yesufu is going to be a lottery pick. Now, Yesufu is kind of like a guard in a way, but I do feel like his downhill attacking, his scoring at the rim is coming alive as of late, the shooting as well. And I do think he can be a good enough scorer where teams are going to value that in this draft. I think he's a better scorer than what Jacoby Walter was at Baylor 2 years ago. And they used the comp to Cam Whitmore. I think the passing ability is a little bit better. I think the defense is better. Cam Whitmore, I'm not going to say it was a tough watch at Nova because it was an exciting watch, and I did think he was a top 10 prospect in that draft. I would say that's not aged the best, and Cam Whitmore has not really adapted to where he can have long-term, I don't know, stability at the NBA level. Like, I'm not saying he's going to turn into Cam Reddish, but I mean, we're kind of heading towards that path, unfortunately. 17, Memphis taking Joshua Jefferson, a big draft riser so far this year. Kind of a play style that everybody can really use and utilize in their offense. Kyle Anderson is the comp, so it's only right that he goes to Memphis here. But yeah, Jefferson can shoot, pass, dribble, defend. Kind of like a Tristan Da Silva, I would say, of 2 years ago as well, like a jack of all trades. I don't know if I want to say master of none, because I do think like the IQ, the passing is really good, and the defense is really good as well. So Jefferson, I mean, he's not like a super athletic, like bouncy wing, like nowhere close to like the AJ DeBansett athleticism or what the peak of Nate Ament can be, because he's 22. But man, he's like, you look at some of these wings in this class, like there's not that many of them where he can go higher than expected. We have Christian Andersen going to the Heat at 18. They took a point guard at 20 last year in Nakachonis. So there you go, Anderson, who's hit some big shots this year. Like, watch his Duke game again, or watch his game against Duke to hand them, I think it was Duke's first loss at Madison Square Garden. He hit big shot after big shot, deep three after deep three. He looked great for Team Germany in the U19s, where then he started to get on everybody's radar as a sophomore. And I was worried about him as like a true playmaking point guard this year. I think he stepped up to the occasion this year. And oh yeah, they actually mentioned, or Jonathan Wasserman mentions the double-digit deficit comeback against Duke at Madison Square Garden. Like, yeah, you could worry about the frame a little bit. I'll have to go like deeper into like his numbers around the rim if he's going to be like as efficient at the NBA level. I don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, we'll see if Anderson is going to be like the lowest one out of all these guys. We have Jackson Lendenberg, 19 here to OKC. I wouldn't be surprised if Lendenberg is a top 10 pick when it's all said and done as well. Lendenberg, 23 years old. You definitely remember the name from Draft Talks last year. I had a top 20-ish grade on him in last year's class. He goes to Michigan as the top transfer in the portal, and he is a part of maybe the best team in college basketball this year, a top 3 team, 100%. It's funny that like they dominated like every team this year, and then Penn State gives them a little bit of the run for their money. But either way, Michigan, like him and Ademar and Morris Johnson in that front court is just dominating the younger talent in college basketball and like freshman and sophomore because they're physically imposing out there. And Lendenberg is great around the rim. He's a monster on the glass. And if you need like that high energy, high intensity guy in the front court and you can't get Caleb Wilson, but you want somebody that's going to go after every single offensive rebound that has a great feel around the rim and can be a solid enough defender on the perimeter, Yaxel's your guy. OKC, I mean, it's going to feel like next year a little bit less because Topic will play, I think, this year. I hope he does. But like Topic, Sorber, and like Lendenberg, it's like the whole new class here for the Thunder. Wait, I didn't even mention who the Thunder got earlier with the Clippers pick. Sorry, who did they get here? I completely went over that. Did they get Darius Cuff? No, that was Portland. Oh, Keelan Wagler went to Milwaukee. Sorry, I didn't really talk about too much about the spots, but Wagler is a great fit in Milwaukee. I like that a lot for them. Memphis gets LeBaron Philon. I don't know if they need another guard, though, with Scotty and Jerome and Ja and Cam Spencer. Mikal goes to Dallas. Where's the Clippers pick? Oh, they got Braylon Mullins. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's a great fit. That's just a shooter they need. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's pretty good, I would say. So, next up, we have the 20th pick, Kareem Lopez, who's been playing well as of late at New Zealand. I still have a top 20 grade on Kareem Lopez. Good size, good frame. 3-point shot comes around, which I think it will. I think he's going to have a lot of positional value at the NBA level, be able to catch lobs. I think he's a more polished, like Tijon Salon. Like what we're seeing from Salon kind of not break out in year number 2, but show, I think, a little bit more improvement offensively. I think Kareem Lopez can be that right away, and then you continue to get better year over year. I maybe struggle a little bit right now to figure out how he's going to be as like a help defender at the NBA level. How is he going to be as a transition defender? I don't know. He's got a lot of pro experience under his belt, like coming up from Mexico. And I think he played in Spain a little bit as well, like very young when he was like a 15-year-old as well, which is a very impressive feat. So we'll see what ends up happening. They mentioned like no post game, no mid-range or pull-up game will put extra pressure on his 3-point shooting, but he's shooting 39% on 59 attempts. Patrick Gungba here going to Charlotte at 21. I guess like the first center they have in this class is, I mean, Boozer's a power forward, so is their first center we really talked about. I guess it was Heinz Thombeck, or I guess it's Jaden Quaidance in a way. But even Jaden Quaidance, like 6'10", we'll see what he measures in at the combine. But what if he's 6'8.5"? I'm just saying, like, could there be a chance that Patrick Gungba turns in to the center 1 in this class? And Gungba does have really good rim running ability, good athleticism. I think has a nice post touch as well. I don't know if he'll ever develop a consistent 3-point shot ever. Maybe you could feel that, like the same thing with Kaman last year, but I do think Gungba is going to have a really good offensive game at the NBA level, which will have some value, and he feels bigger than 6'11", honestly. Like, I think he's like 7 feet out there. Cameron Carr, Minnesota, 22. You could say he's better than Tony Yesufu, his Baylor Bears teammate, and Carr is a very athletic wing in a way, 6'5", 175. You'd probably like for him to be a little bit stronger, but he's also hit some very difficult shots this year, and I would say that, like, I don't know, like, you need somebody that can knock down a big-time shot that plays with some intensity. Carr can definitely be your guy as well. Playing with good old James Nagy, who I probably talked about at one point as well in a draft grade, and now he's playing at Baylor this year. It blows my mind. 23, Boston taking Bennett Sturts. I guess Boston could look at another point guard, especially if Simons is not on this team next year. I mean, obviously Brown, Tatum, and Pritchard and Derek White handle the ball a ton, but like going forward, if those guys or some of those guys are hurt or not on the court, who's going to handle the ball for Jordan Walsh and Josh Minot and Hugo Gonzalez and Nemeas Queta? And Bennett Sturts could be that guy, a very slow, methodical player as well. But Bennett Sturts, he can make great reads. He's got a great passing touch, and he can shoot as well. Obviously, elite IQ. And when you're not an athletic point guard, which he's no Darius Cuff, he's no LeBaron Philon or Mikal Brown athleticism-wise, and definitely no Darren Peterson, you kind of have to make up for it with your IQ. It's the tale as old as time. Rockets here at 24, Day Morrow, which is Like, seeing a Damar this year has got to be one of the core development stories. Like, when he came over from Spain to UCLA in the 2024 season, this was the most raw player I've seen in a while in college basketball. He looks so much more comfortable, so much more patient out there. The reads have been great. This has been a phenomenal get for Dusty May in the transfer portal, and I think he could definitely be a first-round pick. 7'3", 255. Move over Zach Edey. Zach Edey's like 7'4", 305. Zach Edey weighs like 50 more pounds than Mara, which is crazy. I would love Braden Burries to my Knicks. He just had a really good game the other night. I like the Quentin Grimes pro comp as well. I think he's somebody that could be that like really good pull-up shooter, kind of shoot over anybody right now, plays with really good defensive pace as well, and I think doesn't like get too overzealous, doesn't overcommit at all either. And hey, the Knicks, they need to hit on a first-round pick. They haven't hit on a first-round pick since probably Quentin Grimes in the 2021 draft. 2022, they traded their picks for future picks to get money to get Jalen Brunson. 23, they traded it for Josh Hart. 24, they traded, it was Pacoma Daddy, and they traded it. In 2025, they didn't have one. It ends up going to like the Nets for, I think it was the Traore selection, or no, it might have been, was it the Daniels? Or not Daniels, the Danny Wolf Seraph range, maybe. Either way, we have Dash Daniels going to the Nuggets at 26. Probably one of the more polished perimeter defenders in the strip, but the offensive, I think, game is going to come a long way. I wonder if you think he could maybe replace some of the Peyton Watson minutes one day, because apparently maybe they're not going to be able to afford Peyton Watson when he's a free agent somehow, but Peyton Watson's making himself a lot of money. Malik Thomas, 27 to the Lakers. Oh, Jordan Clarkson is a really good comp. Man, this guy, it's a lot of no, yes, maybe a lot of shooting like that, a lot of inconsistencies from Malik Thomas. I think he would benefit staying another year in college, but hey, it's pro U basically. It's one and done you when you're playing for John Calipari. Henry Vasar to the Cavs at 28. This team probably could use another like true on center depth guy. I don't know if they'll trade Jared Allen by the time of the 2026 draft, but Naquan Tomlin, I don't know if you're going to trust him as your 5. Larry Nance Jr. was a disaster this year. I think they could definitely use another big. They have plenty of wings. Maybe you look at a guard here, whoever you think's the best guard available. Maybe Mingo from Penn State could be an interesting guy there. Alex Caravan, I think, has played like a first-round pick this year at UConn. 29 to the Pistons as well. A really good shooter, something they've kind of missed a little bit with the Malik Beasley department, but Duncan Robinson has been a solid addition for them this year. I mean, they haven't really loved the Karis LeVert minutes. Tobias Harris is going to be gone. I like this pick for Detroit. And at 30, yeah, Chris Snack just hasn't been as productive this year, and not as good of a rim protector that you would have liked at Houston, I would say. Like, JoJo Tugler has definitely been their most imposing defender. And then you have like Harwell, Sharp, and then Fleming's out there as well. Damn, like, Washington at 30, like a way too early mock draft. I could have had Sinak like 5 to the Wizards, and now he's going 30 to the Wizards. That's a good pick. So we'll go a little bit quicker through the second round. Avdilas going to the Grizzlies at 31. A polarizing prospect for sure. He could have been a second rounder last year. I think he should be a first rounder. I think I'm gonna be doing an updated top 30 this month on my SROS channel. I think he's gonna make it. Zubi Ejiofor, maybe more than what I wanted JoJo Tugler to be this year. Like, Jonathan Mogbo is a really good shout. They definitely match in terms of like measurements. Just like, I don't know. You're not going to get really any shooting. You're not going to get really any pull-up jumpers, anything like that. It's just kind of like the motor, the athleticism, the intensity, and the defensive upside. Isaiah Evans going 33. So yeah, no other Duke players in the top 30. No Dame Sarr, no Isaiah Evans. I mean, Sacramento weaves the strict with DePance and Evans. 2 thumbs up for me. I would have loved that for them. 34, the Knicks take Sergio Delaria. Item, I think, 30th on my big board preseason. I would actually like that for them, but they'd probably want him to stay in Spain so they can save some money against the apron. Ryan Conwell, I think, has played like him, like almost maybe a first-round pick this year with his shooting ability. 40% from 3 in his 3rd consecutive year. Take that in the top 35, please. Like, that's a for sure shooter. Braden Smith, I hope he gets drafted in the top 40. I mean, Tyler Cole got drafted in the top 40. Braden Smith, I mean, it's a stronger draft than 2024. But this is like one of the greatest college passing point guards of all time when it's all said and done. Sacramento could use another one at 36. I mean, Sacramento ends up with Isaiah Evans, Braden Smith, and Debansa. It's fun in my mind. Duke Harris at the Clippers at 37. I liked watching Duke Harris this year so far. Didn't really know much about him going into the year, but it does feel like he could be a good enough athletic wing that could shoot that, like I said, has not really been prevalent in this draft so far. 38, Floyd Badunga, who's kind of stepped up for Kansas this year at times. Physical presence around the rim. That's got to be a typo. I don't think he's a small forward. Paul McNeil. He's kind of been like a hit or miss at times, like boomer bust games this year. But if you do buy the shot, I do like the Isaiah Joe comp. Morris Johnson, just another Michigan frontcourt guy going in this draft. He's had some really good games this year for the Wolverines. He had a really good game recently. Dalen Swain, athletic wings that could defend. If he could shoot, once again, I don't think he's a point guard. I feel like that's a typo. I think he could be a better shooter than Ryan Dunn, I will say. Malik Reneau for Miami. I mean, Miami might have some intriguing draft guys. I haven't been able to watch too much Miami this year. Was it Wilkerson or Wilkinson? One of their young guys on that team as well. I got to watch more Miami, especially with ACC play starting up. So I don't really have a fair assessment on Malik Reneau at all. JT Toppin at 43, back to the basket, hook shots, Brandon Clark-esque, you could definitely say. Could have been a first rounder last year. Made sense for him to go to Texas Tech, get that NIL bag, which he's getting right now. Miles Uzan, I should have mentioned him before when I was listing off Houston defenders and just overall players on that team. I like the Nemhard shout. Like, I would take Miles Uzan way higher than 44. I think he's a good player. Todd Pettiford, 45. I'm kind of off on Pettiford. I haven't really loved watching Pettiford this year, and I think he's definitely hurt his draft stock, and maybe in hindsight, he should have declared last year. Milan Momcilovic from Iowa State. Yeah, we could see multiple, like 3 Iowa State players with Milan, Taman, maybe he's in this mock, and we had Joshua Jefferson earlier. Alex Condon, 47 to the Spurs. Maybe with that, he thinks he should have went last year, where I think he could have gone higher. Donnie Freeman has been productive when he plays this year for Syracuse. He's dealt with some injuries, but Orlando takes him at 48. His comp is a current Orlando Magic. I don't think he's that good of a defender. Darian Williams to the Rockets at 49. I like that as well. I think he could step in right away for the Rockets, who do not own a first rounder this year, I believe. We have the Raptors at 50 taking Kai Boswell. I think this is a little high for Kai Boswell. I would definitely look at like Dame Sarr, maybe even Caleb Foster, who had a really good game against Louisville. You have Carter Knox, who I thought could have been a fringe top 30 guy going into the year. I would say, yeah, like Darius Akuff and Malik Thomas have looked a lot better than Carter Knox this season. Andrei Stojakovic going to the Wizards at 52. I hope he gets drafted. It'd be a fun player. I don't know if he will be. Richie Saunders would also be a fun player. He is an older prospect. He had a really good game recently. Who the hell did they play? It wasn't TCU. Who did BYU just play? Arizona State, where he went off in that game. Dylan Mitchell to the Rockets at 54. I mean, he's probably been, like, him and Zuby, the best St. John prospects over, I would say, Ian Jackson this year. That's for sure. And, like, Bryce Hopkins, who's, like, 50 in terms of college years. JoJo's Hugglers to the Suns at 55. Yeah, that's a defender they can also use and kind of get into that Suns system. Jaden Bradley to the Knicks at 56, so another Wildcat. I'll have to watch more about Jaden Bradley, but I've seen a little bit from him this year. Darren Collison comp. Jason Pierre Jr. from SMU. Let's get it, or Jaron Pierre Jr. from SMU. Once again, I haven't really watched too much SMU this year, but he'll be on my radar. Duke Miles from Vanderbilt. So no Tower Tanner in this mock, actually. I just realized that at Vanderbilt. Interesting, unless I missed them. Mohamed Faye to the Knicks at 59. And then at 60, we have PJ Haggerty to Washington from Kansas State. Did they give? Wait, the Knicks have like an early second. Who was their early second that had the Knicks taking? Oh, it was Delaria, right? From the Wizards. Okay. So that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy that Bleacher Report mock draft reaction. If you did enjoy, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think about this mock down below. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.